Hello readers, I'm Amy, here today to talk about Blue Ticket by Sophie Mackintosh. I'm still trying to process what exactly I read. This book got a rave review from Victoria, what Victoria read. She read it in one day and made kind of a vlog about it, and it's one that I've been looking forward to reading. I've already read The Water Cure, which was, I believe, her debut book. I wasn't totally sure on her politics of it, but all in all, I liked the storyline. And in reading Blue Ticket, you can definitely see the growth of the author. She's much more literary fiction in this one, which Victoria did tell me about. And the literary fiction aspect I didn't love as much, just because it's a genre that I struggle with and I don't really understand those finer points and hints and cues that literary fiction kind of gives you throughout the book. But it was really good. I think it went a little slower for me. I would give it 3.5 to 4 stars myself. But it's about this woman who pulls a blue ticket, and you can get either a blue ticket or a white ticket. A blue ticket means that you will go about life not having children, and a white ticket means that you have to have a child and have to make a family. And as you can tell from a storyline like that, our main person is not happy with the blue ticket that she pulled. And for a while, the story was really taking its time when I'm like, okay, where is this going? But as you get further into the book, I would say a little over halfway, it really started to click with me. So you have this pro-choice argument where it's like, it's my body, it's my choice. If I'm the one who has to carry the baby, if I'm the one who has to take care of it when it comes out, like, I should decide what happens in the case of me getting pregnant, which I totally agree with. I am here for pro-choice. But this kind of flips it. So you get either a life with no children or a life with children. You either will never have children or you will be forced to birth a child. And this is about someone who got a childless life ticket and starts wanting something more. And at first I was a little wary of it because, like, what is she saying? Is she saying, like, that we're going to change our minds in the future? Hopefully that's not what she's saying, because that whole, oh, you'll change your mind eventually thing is awful. But that's kind of where I thought she was going at first, and then it's like, it just turns a bit. It's like, it's not about the choice of not having a child if you get pregnant. It's about the choice of being able to have a child when you're not allowed to. It turns the argument around the other way, and it's not what I would expect. It's not what I typically expect of a feminist storyline, because you always get, well, I'm pregnant and I don't want to be, so I'm not going to be. And you don't often see the other side of that. So it was really just eye-opening, and just, like I said, I'm still processing my thoughts. I messaged Victoria when she gets the message, we're gonna talk about this book and what it means to us and the ending. And the other thing is, it's a literary fiction dystopia in that it doesn't necessarily explain a lot, which wasn't a bad thing. You see the workings of the ticket on these women's lives emotionally and how that affects them. But you're not really getting world building. I wouldn't even say it's so much character driven though, because I don't feel like I learned that much about the main character and her personality. It's more of a story of social expectations and going against them, rather than a story about a story or a story about a character, if that makes sense. But it was good. It was one of those writings that has a lot of page breaks, like a couple of sentences and a page break and a paragraph and a page break. I would probably say it's a little more stream of consciousness, which tends to not do so well with me, but I think it comes down to how it's written, and most stream of consciousness that I've read has not been written for me as a reader. However, this style of book, Blue Ticket, as well as Red Clocks by Lenny Zumas, they are both stream of consciousness ones that are a little more my style, that are a little less random. Like, I read Virginia Woolf, tried to read Virginia Woolf, and her stream of consciousness just doesn't work for me. Also the older writing. Anyways, getting off track there. It was very literary fiction, in that it doesn't really tell you anything, it's trying to show you things, and I think each reader is going to find something different in this story, and it almost feels like I have shell shock from this book. Like, I don't know what to think yet. I haven't processed it yet. But also, I wanted to do the review now after I read it, because I'm the sort of person, if I put off the review and put off the review, then the review is just never going to get done. So I might as well do it now and give you my unprocessed feelings. I guess if anything comes up later when I talk to Victoria, then I will hop back on here and give everyone a thoughts update. But for now, this is kind of it for the review, because I don't know what else to say. If you're interested in lit fiction and don't generally do super well in it, you might still want to pick this up. I am not really a literary fiction person, but it spoke to me as a feminist. So, something to think about. Yeah. So, if the video ends here, it ends here. If it goes on, it doesn't, and we'll skip ahead to my ending. Okay, I'm back really quick. This is 2 days? Yeah, 2 days after filming that last clip. Needed some time to process, needed some time to talk with Victoria a little bit, and needed some time to write myself some notes, because there's always things that I forget. And so, of course, there's stuff that I forgot to talk about in the first part of this review. So here I am. I'm back. So, something we need to talk about is the effect of the tickets on lives outside of whether or not you give birth. If you get a blue ticket, like our main character Kala did, that means you're not having kids. You know what else that means? Is that you are more sexually available. And of course, that plays a huge part in this story, the way people treat her. Parts of this is where it got a little more literary for the literary fiction part of it, so I didn't completely understand all of it, but she's kind of taken advantage of by other people because they know she's a blue ticket, even though she's got some other stuff going on that you think would make them want to stay away from her, but I don't know. Don't really want to get into spoilers with that. But sexual availability is one of the many discussions that Mackintosh has during this book, and how, like, your dating life is determined by your ticket. So they have a little locket that has a white or blue ticket in it, depending on what they got. And so they'll, like, flash their locket, and if the person sees a white ticket and they want to if the man sees a white ticket in the locket and decides that he wants to have a family or make children with this person, then they'll go off and do that. If they see the blue ticket and the guy just wants, like, a one-night stand or something, they go off and do that. And of course, that kind of thing brings up assumptions. You assume that you know what kind of person that person is. If you know someone who is a stripper, then you might assume that you know what kind of person they are. You might assume that they're sexually loose, sexually available. You'll assume all sorts of things about their lives, even though you might not know them as a person. Maybe they actually keep to themselves and have a very private life. Maybe they have a really strong relationship with their partner and they just like the feeling of dancing and feeling sexy around others. You really don't know until you talk to them. You cannot assume things based on this one aspect of a person, and that's what they do in this book. They assume you have a blue ticket, you're willing to have sex with just about anybody. You have a white ticket? Well, obviously you want babies, because otherwise you wouldn't have been able to get the white ticket. Like, obviously you're going to be a good parent, or you wouldn't have been able to get the white ticket. And those kind of assumptions always get me fired up. And I love that they were a really big part of this book in the way that they were. I think there's a great conversation around that. Something else that I want to talk about is bodies and sex education. Again, a huge part of the book. Not so huge in the conversation about it, because the book kind of takes on this kind of aspect of the characters' histories where it doesn't really discuss sex education, but that's kind of the point. You'll have these white ticket women who know about birth, who know about how to wrap up a baby in a blanket, and you have these blue ticket women who know nothing about birth. Like, they don't know about cravings that they might get during their period. They don't know about during pregnancy. They don't know about cravings during pregnancy. They don't know about, say, tooth and gum care really comes into this. There are some people in the book who are pregnant who lose teeth. That's not something that I really knew about, but I do know that dental care becomes especially important during pregnancy because of the hormones and the things that are taking place in your body. It really affects your mouth health. But if I was pregnant and started losing teeth, I'd be like, what is going on? But it's stuff like that. There's no education outside of the role that someone assumes that you will fill. So here we are back to assumptions. You assume that this white ticket woman is going to have a baby and she's going to like it. So you teach her how to get through pregnancy and birth and how to wrap a baby and how to parent. You assume that this blue ticket woman will never have children, doesn't want to have children, all of that. And so you're going to be like, well, you don't need to know about how to get pregnant. You don't need to know all of these things about staying pregnant and about pregnancy health and care. And you don't need to know how to wrap up a baby in a blanket. Which also makes me wonder who's babysitting the babies. Like, I guess it would just be white ticket women babysitting other white ticket women's babies? I don't know. But the assumptions in that and the sex education in that, again, it gets me really fired up. Like, you need to know all of the basics about your body because you deserve to know, and you need to know how your body works in order to prepare for things. I have so many thoughts on this. Yeah, I think that's actually going to be it for my discussion on this book. So, recommend if you are curious about literary fiction, if you like literary fiction, or if you are picky about literary fiction, because this is a literary fiction book that, for me, who doesn't like the genre much, I found it a little more readable and a little more understandable than a lot of other literary fiction. So, back to Past Amy for the ending of this video. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. I'll see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.